Hello, everyone. My name is Jason, and I'm here to talk. Nice to meet you, and nice to see you again. Today, what I want to talk about is the Mandela Effect, and I also want to talk about how to deal with the crazy energy of this time. So, without further ado, let me just jump into it. So, I'm going to first jump into just show you my site. This is my site. I offer spiritual guidance, sound healing. We have a lightworker community, all these different things, and you can click through it to find out about it. Like, let's see, spiritual guidance here. So there's 3 different types. You can choose from there, and there's testimonials below. And then if you go to the offerings here, you can click here, and then you can find out about the Lightworker group. You can click here, and when you join the Lightworker group, you get 2 monthly live Q&A channeling sessions and a sound bath, in addition to access to all of the previous channelings, so 50 plus hours of channeling, plus about 30 or so sound baths, and that will be all located here. And so you can find all that here. My mouse is not working today, but here you go. Okay, so that's that. And hold on. And I want to introduce, before we go into anything, the yin and yang symbol, because this is a very, very apt symbol of our world at the moment, or of our world all of the time. And the yin and yang symbol, if you look at the yin and yang symbol, it's quite complex and quite simple at the same time. There are 2 sides, but in each side there's a little bit of the other side, meaning that we are never really one side or the other side. We're always a mix of both. And understanding that is the key to understanding this whole paradigm. So when we jump into fear and we jump into judgment or we jump into anger and all of these different things, we're just jumping into this illusion. But if we find that middle path, which is right in the middle here, this middle path, then we are able to walk through all of these events that we're seeing without getting caught up in them, without our emotions being triggered, without everything being polarized. At the moment, everything is very polarized, and that is by design. And what do I mean by polarized? I mean that you can say a certain word or a certain set of words and people will lose their stuff. That's what I call polarized. And in this polarized time, it's important to stay in the middle path as much as possible, to try to understand all of these things that are happening around you and see them all happening for a very specific reason. And what is the reason? Everything happens for our own good. We're down here for a very, very important reason, and we're here to witness this amazing time that we're in. We're not here to jump into fear or anger. And yeah, so that's what the yin and yang symbol represents for me. And also this little light, or this darkness in the light, and this light in the darkness is also very apt as well. There is that as well. And so some might see this world as a treacherous world, but I think it's important to just use your discernment. It's treacherous only if you don't use your discernment. If you use your discernment, then you can discern, what is light, or what is this light, or what is this light. And you can also, in the end, understand that you don't have to be a part of any of that, that we are made of love and we just come down here to have experiences. All right, so that's the yin and yang. Now, let's see. I want to share. So first, I guess what I'll do is I'll first start talking about the Mandela Effect. And so the Mandela Effect, do I have an image? No, I don't have a good image. So Mandela Effect. If you're not familiar with it, you can check it out. Just look it up. And there are many different examples of the Mandela Effect. And the Mandela Effect references Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela supposedly died in prison, and then, at least that's what I remember. And then a few years later, it was in the news that he was still alive and he came out of prison. And so everyone was just surprised. Well, how did that happen? We heard that he had died in prison, and now they're saying that he came out of prison. And that's the Mandela Effect. And what it is just we remember something being different from our childhood. Like T.T. Tracy, you mentioned the mirror on the wall. but now they call it magic mirror on the wall. And I remember it being mirror, mirror on the wall. So these sorts of things. So our memories of things and what they actually were are quite different. Here, do we have any good effects? The Bernstein Bears instead of the Berenstain Bears. The false memory of a movie titled Shazam starring Sinbad, which never existed. Yeah, I do remember that movie as well. So, yeah. Oh, and this one too. This is the big one for me. It's in Star Wars, Luke, I am your father. But it's actually, no, I am your father. And I definitely remember it, Luke, I am your father, because I was a big Star Wars fan. And I remember quoting that with friends, Luke, I am your father, And so these sorts of things. Okay, so I did some channeling today about the Mandela Effect. And I asked them what is it? And they first of all said it's not really important. It's not something to really worry too much about. But what it is, yes, different timelines. So they explained it in the basic way that it is different timelines that are happening, and that we create our life path, and then we create these. There are all these different timelines that we can jump into depending on our frequency. And whenever you jump into one frequency, all of the past of that timeline will change as well. But also what they were saying was that this concept of timelines is a very third-dimensional way of looking at the whole experience, that this idea that we're jumping timelines is a very kind of small way of looking at the entire structure. And what they said is that it's a frequency shift, that we assume that these timelines are there and we're just jumping into them without understanding that we are creating the timelines. We are the ones. We are the timelines. Our frequency is creating the timelines. And so these effects in our past that we see, it is the past correcting itself to create the story, the movie, the narrative line that leads you to the place that you're at this moment. So if you are in a light frequency, they said that then the past would shift and change to bring the story to where you are now. And that's more of a way of looking at it. It is a reflection of your frequency, is the way they said it. I'm going to go into a bit of channeling to get some more information about it. And let's see. Yeah, Nelson Mandela. Okay, so yeah, I'll just go into a bit of a channeling to see if they have anything to say, anything more to add. So here we go. Greetings, we are that one that you know of as Yeshua, and we're here, and we're here, and we're here. And what we would say about this, yes, as we were talking to this being before, we told him that this is not something to worry too much about. What this is a phenomenon, one of many that are on your planet at this moment, to help you to remember what is really happening here. These glitches, you call them in the system, are not necessarily glitches. They are there to awaken you to the fact, to the knowledge of how things really work. So it's not a glitch in the matrix, it's a glitch in your understanding of how the universe works. If you understood that everything changed with your frequency, then this would not be considered a phenomenon. This would be considered something that is commonplace. Of course, the past is changing because I am changing as well. And the past can always change, and so does the future as well as the present. They're continually in flux. This concept that the present, or that the present is the only thing that is changing, and that the past is fixed and the future is fixed, is a glitch in your understanding of the universe. The past is always changing. The future is always changing as well. And this you might be difficult at times to wrap your mind around, because the concept of time travel and these sorts of things, the way that you're taught in your science fiction realms about what time travel is and what it actually is are quite different. But time travel, we would say, is traveling down timelines, set timelines that are set up in a certain way. So in a sense, it is not quite accurate. because it can always change. And these timelines are always changing. And this is why it's so difficult for you on your planet to really, truly know what the future will be, because the timelines there are thousands of different possibilities of how the future could go. And it all depends on your frequency. It could shift like that. The whole world could shift like that. And that's how it's happening. But what we were sharing with this being today is that there is a collapsing of the timelines going on at this moment. So as this being shared, that depending on your frequency, it will affect your past and your future and your present and how your world looks around you. Your frequency is that powerful, and that's part of how you are functioning, how you are interacting with this illusion that you call the world. Your frequency is creating it. You assume that it is from your idea of manifestation that you're creating it, but actually what is truly creating it is your frequency. And that is another reason why at times you try to create things in your life, but you don't seem to be able to manifest them. And that is because you're creating with your frequency, and you assume that these words that you're using are creating it, but it's actually your frequency. So it's very important to address your frequency as well. And so, yes, but what is happening now, though, is all of the timelines are collapsing into one timeline, the timeline of love. Whereas in the past, there were a variety of different timelines to choose from with different frequencies, varying frequencies. So if you were in a lower frequency, you could choose a certain timeline and you could exist on that timeline. Whereas now, all of the frequencies are collapsing into one timeline, the timeline of love. And if they are collapsing into the timeline of love, if you are not in the timeline of love, then you cannot exist in this frequency, in this timeline. There is nowhere for you to be. And so you have to go to another place. You have to go to another dimension in that sense. And you also have to go to another place because the earth is collapsing its timelines. The earth is focusing in the frequency, one frequency, the frequency of love. And all of those other possibilities, those other timelines, are not available anymore. And so either you develop a frequency of love or you leave. And those are the two options. And that is what you are seeing playing out on your world stage. You're seeing many people deciding to leave. And we would say for all of you to not worry about that, because you never end. You never end. You're beings of love, and that you always exist. You might not exist on this plane per se, but you will always exist on many different planes. So understanding that this is not an ending, it's a choice point. It's a choice of what experiences you would like to have, and you choose that through your frequency. So these Mandela effects, as you call them, are the glitches that are helping to awaken you to the understanding of your misconception of how the universe works. The past is correcting itself to adjust to your frequency. That is the explanation of your Mandela effect. You are all moving into the path of love. And the reason that is happening, the reason this collapse is happening, is that is part of the ascension process, because love is the pathway out of this third dimension into the other dimensions. And so you're collapsing everything. All of the experiences are collapsing down so they can fit through this tiny hole, this tiny opening, this tiny portal that allows all of you to pass through this into the higher paradigm. That is what is happening on your planet. All right, so it's makes sense to me. So that's right. That's the one part I missed too, is that the collapsing of the timelines, all of the timelines are collapsing into one. And so, and so we are seeing all these discrepancies because there's only one timeline now, and all of these other pasts are trying to, morph themselves into the past that most works. I guess you could think of it as a movie script. It most works with this movie script or this novel that we are in. We are in this place, and so if we look back in the past, it has to make sense how we got here. And the other thing that I wanted to share was about frequency, and so this is related to what I was talking about, what did I call it? The empathy blues. Like I had the empathy blues a few days ago. It was a full moon, and everyone was sending out all their crazy energy, and I was picking up on it, and I couldn't shake it, and it knocked me out. I mean, I was in pain the whole night. I was in pain. My legs hurt, my back hurt, everything hurt. It was like a fever, but I didn't have a fever. And then when the full moon was gone, it was gone. And I was feeling it though. I feel people's energy on my head, around this area, in my body as well. So on crowded trains and things like that, it can be very intense. If there's a lot of unhappy people, especially rush hour, I'm feeling all that energy, if I'm not aware of myself, if I'm not aware of my energy, it can really bring me down. I can, they, I can be in the state that they are in. And so I have to be careful of this. And I was complaining about it a few days ago in my last channeling, and Esmeralda, one of my guides, came in and said, what are you complaining about? This is your gift. This is a gift. You're being given this gift because you can handle it. And what is the point of this gift, right? She said that the point of this gift is to the people that are projecting out these energies, these emotions, they don't know what to do with them. It's too much for them. And so that's why they're projecting them out. So if I'm able to see those energies and then to transmute them, they will be able to see that transmutation process and understand the process. And it will be something it's not really conscious, but there'll be a knowing. They'll just, that's it. And they'll understand how to do it. And and this is the process that she was talking about. So I have been practicing this, and I've been practicing it with the help of this woman. This is Akita, her name is, and she came into my meditation a few days ago, and she, if you look back a few days ago, I did a channeling all about her, and she exists in pre-creation, so before thought, before emotion. So she is in the realm of just pure frequency, and that is where true creation happens. And she kind of resembles the two in the Shinto. Shinto is the Japanese mythology. The Shinto, in the Shinto mythology in Japan, they have these two gods that kind of created reality, and they have a similar staff, like this staff that she has, and they kind of created Japan. That was the idea. But so what I've been doing is that I've been calling her in, and I've been asking her to help me with all these energies, because, so for example, I was walking through the main train station of my town, and it's nuts. I mean, just people, like a wall of people, and there's just so much energy. And usually, like, it takes 10 minutes to walk from one side to the other. I have to walk to the other side of the station to get to the studio that I teach guitar at. And but just walking through that station is an intense experience for me. And but what I was doing was I asked her for help in dealing with the energy, and what she did was she did this amazing kind of martial arts thing using her staff, and she would kind of flip it around and take these emotions that people were projecting, and she would flip them up and flip them around, and then just put them up into the transmutation kind of vortex and let it go up into source so that it becomes energy. And it was just it was just this wonderful experience. But what was important that I learned when she was doing this, this is my drawing, and this is the artificially enhanced version. This kind of, I guess it's more pleasing on the eye, this one. But this is the original. This is my original artwork. I think this one's a little bit, you can get a better idea of it. It's a little bit rougher, but but anyway, she was using that. It was like this martial arts where she was just using the energy, and she wasn't expelling any energy. It was like aikido, where she was just using the energy and just flipping it around, and it was such a beautiful dance to be witnessing. And my job in this experience was to be aware of my energy. So I was walking through the station, but I was aware of my body. So there's a yoga technique that many people do. I guess it's a cool down or warm up. I'm not sure which, but where you sit on the ground and you just feel your body. You feel your head, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, everything, and just be aware of your body. And so that's the method. But you take it to another step. So you're aware of your body, aware of your spine, aware of your heart, aware of your liver, your lungs, everything, your skin. But also, and then you start to become aware of your chakras and how they're feeling and how they're interacting with everyone else's energy, because this is how we interact with the energy. And so your body, your skin, your organs, your chakras, and then just feeling the energy of everything. And then she came in and she was helping me to clear the energy, but I was picking it all up. And so this can seem to be a little bit overwhelming, and at times it can be. But what I wanted to share today is that what I do a meditation every morning, and it's called the Bija there are these mantras called bija mantras. They're called seed mantras, and each of your chakras has a mantra or a mantra, however you want to say it, related to it. And what I do is I envision the color, and I talk about this in my dragon book if you're interested. I go a little bit more in depth into it. But so yeah, there are these different colors, and I'll use my bowl. So I have a Tibetan bowl, and I'll play it, and then I'll sing each mantra. So for example, I'll start down at la lam lam yam, and I'll sing each one, and I'll hold the ball in this bowl in front of each chakra, and it really and imagining the color. So I do this with my eyes closed, and it purifies the energy there. And so I do this every morning, actually every morning, every night, to clear my chakras, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that gets caught up in there, all that energy and stuff. And so I'm actively attempting, I guess what you would call it is active light work. And I wanted to share this because I think it might be very helpful for everyone else who has this empathy thing, and you're kind of in public situations and you're just picking up all this energy, and it's just exhausting. And so rather than having it exhaust you, you can figure out a way to transmute it and do the dance that Akita does, that she does. Or this version. So I will sing all of the mantras. You can, so both in the Hathor book, I think in my Hathor book, Hathor singing guide, and also in the dragon book. I think it's the Hathor singing book. You can find that information on my site. And so I'll sing all of the chakras, and then finally I will do all of them all at once. And so I'll just hold the bowl like right at mid body level, and I'll sing kind of like a and I'll imagine all of my chakras lit up all at once, all of them at once. And it's very powerful. And I do that 3 times with all of them all at once. And that's enough to really clear up all and shake up all that energy. I recommend these crystal bowls, or sorry, not crystal, Tibetan bowls, because they really seem to shake up that energy. Anything that's not quite nice that is around you. I mean, these things, they just run away. They're like, ah. So, but yeah, so I want to share that. So you're aware of all of your energy, and then and this is the main point today, is that the good point of practicing the bija mantras and also practicing being aware of your body, so I do that also every morning, is that then when you're out in public, because the whole point is like, you can do this easily at your house. I mean, anyone can do it at home. It's easy, there's nothing to worry. But can you do this when you are in a place that's very stressful, when you're surrounded by what seems to be a very stressful situation? Can you be aware of all of your chakras? Can you be aware of your skin, your body, your heart? What are all your chakras doing? Can you do that? And that's the point. And that's what I've been practicing, and realizing that that's how you do it in these situations. These people have these things that they don't know how to handle, and so rather than just thinking like, people got to deal with their stuff, why do they have to project all their stuff out? You can just kind of close your eyes and get in touch with your body, get in touch with your chakras. I don't sing or anything in public unless you feel so inclined, but I just close my eyes and I get into my chakras, and then I feel it all, and then I call in guidance. I don't just jump in and try to do anything. I don't know what to do with their energy, so I ask my guides, okay, so I'm feeling this projected energy. It's coming from a few different places. Can you tell me what it is and what I'm supposed to do with it? And then your guides will tell you, and then I call in akita to help me, just maneuver all this stuff, and then we just send it all up. And I've been noticing that I'll check the eyes of people around me, and I'll see a visible, like a slight difference in their I can't think of the word, and the only word that's popping up is their visage, but that's not the word that I'm looking for. But they look different. Their face looks different. It looks lighter. They kind of have a bit of a smile to them. So here you go. This might be a really good way of doing light working for us empaths. So I wanted to share that, and then I wanted to share lesson 43, because I thought this is really good, and this is related as well because it's talking about perception. So this is the line that I wanted to share. It says, in God you cannot see. Perception has no function in God and does not exist, right? And you think, well, what the heck does that mean? Well, what it means is that we created perception. God did not create perception. We created it so that to interact with this world that we see. But the only truth is that there's love. And God, what God didn't create doesn't exist, right? And so it's just in our minds, this illusion. But the idea is that yet in salvation, which is the undoing of what never was, perception has a mighty purpose, right? So we made it because we wanted to be separate and we wanted to experience this life in a separate place. And so, but it doesn't really exist, but we could use it to help us to remember who we really are. So here, made by the Son of God for an unholy purpose, it must become the means for the restoration of his holiness to his awareness. Perception has no meaning, yet does the Holy Spirit give it a meaning very close to God's. Healed perception becomes the means by which the Son of God forgives his brother and thus forgives himself. So this is a method of using this world that we live in to truly understand what we really are. Like, this world that we live in is an illusion, but if we can see it and ask the help, guidance, the Holy Spirit's guidance, or just guidance, ask, and the Holy Spirit will, take, or, whatever you want to use, whatever word that you want to use, guidance, or the Course in Miracles is geared towards Christianity. And so these words are geared towards that. But I think for me, I would say that it's just guidance. Guidance allows us to use our perception to help us to remember who we really are. Even though it's an illusion, we can, what's it, Guns N' Roses? I can't believe I'm quoting Guns N' Roses. Use your illusion. Well, there you go. Hey, Judy. Welcome. Yeah, so I just wanted to share all that. So a new technique of light working. I'm sorry, I'm not to say that it's but a technique of light working that I've just discovered for myself. And that if you are so inclined, I would talk with your guidance first, ask for guidance first before you do it. Don't take my advice on it. You have to listen to your heart if it works for you or not. It's really important, especially with this light working stuff, to not jump into anything. Like, I'm going to clear this place, or this place feels not right, I'm going to do something about it, to not jump in like that, but just to take a step back. Everything has its purpose. So you want to figure out what's happening first, ask for guidance. Is there something I could do here? And remember that it's not us doing it, we are allowing, like, source energy to do this. We are, if we use the energy of God, the energy of love, that's our power. When we realize that, when we start to think, no, I am this amazing, powerful human, and that's when we lose our power. Our only power is love, and that's the only truth. So, all right, guys, so that's what I wanted to share today. I hope you guys are hopeful. Thanks, Judy, for joining in. And Akita says, see you later. And so, yeah. So, and as they say somewhere in the world, hold on a second. As they say somewhere in the world, go beach. And yeah. So, ciao.